afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Saturday night, Politi-tics night. I'm your host, Jake Johnson, and I'm on fire. Literally, on fire. Not really. What's going on out there? How's the world treating you? This is Politi-tics number 59. We've done 59 of these. Can you believe it? 10 more, and it'll be nice. But right now, we're just there. D.C. is under Trump's Penile-Spud power, and it works. Yes. And the Temu-Army is next, going to be deployed in cities around the world. We're cleaning up the streets, everybody. What say you? What do you think about it? Bill Bennett, you get the gold star for being first in chat. How are you, my friend? Welcome to the show. And Bill Bennett says, must abolish gangsters always. I like it. Go Big Don. Howdy, guys. What's up, buddy? Amy says, good evening, Jake and Amanda, and hi, UntetheredLive family.
Hi, Amy.
A little closer. Bring it on in.
I'm working on it. I'm trying to fix it.
Get it in there. Stick it in your mouth. Waller it around a little.
Yeah, you like that too much.
Just past the lips.
Yeah.
Amy says, here's your gold star. Amanda says, here's your gold star, Bill.
Hi, Amy and Bill. Hi, UntetheredLive family. Good to see you all. Happy Saturday. I hope everyone is doing good. Hi, Jake. How are you doing tonight?
I am fantastic. I got my grass cut. I feel good. I feel like I done something today, even though I slept most of it. Got to get out there and get something done. Then I broke my lawnmower, so I got to fix that tomorrow. But I got my grass cut, so that's all that matters. It's a nice day today. What do you think about it?
I think it was nice. I was in bed most of the day,
What do you think about Trump?
I think he's awesome. I think he's kicking ass. Taking names. Trump has bomber bull nuts made of gold. That's what he's got.
Amen.
Going out in D.C. with the troops to see how things are going. No other president would have balls in the world to do that.
You think the National Guard would be offended that I called them the Temu-Army?
Well, I mean, maybe.
Because they're like the cheaper version of the Army, but locally.
But still, they get the job done.
I mean, it's apropos. It wasn't an insult. Debbie, how are you? She says, howdy, everyone.
Hi.
Hello, Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
Nice to see you. And Debbie says, I have seen a lot of videos today where the citizens of D.C. are happy with the National Guard being there, the Temu-Army. I saw one video where the person from Chicago pleaded with the President Trump to send them there next. Yes, apparently, and according to Trump, the black ladies of Chicago are all wearing red hats going, come on in, big daddy. Very nice. They need it. Chicago has been a train wreck for quite a while. For the last 100 years that I know of, they've been under Democrat rule, and they have been under the slums. So it's about time somebody cleaned the streets up. We got a real-life superhero on our hands. Trump is going out tonight with the police to do patrols with a flak jacket and a helmet on and everything. Our president. Yes. Did Biden or Obama ever go out on patrols with the police?
Well, not only is he going on patrol, he went right down to the middle of the protest today, or yesterday, Friday, yesterday.
Yeah.
Talking to the troops and everything, and brought them lunch and the whole 9 yards.
Bought a McDonald's. Nice.
No, he brought pizzas and burgers.
Oh, it was pizza. Well, the burgers were McDonald's, I'm sure.
No, actually, there was some restaurant there in D.C.
Well, whatever. It was good. It was good to see our president being proactive and doing something. Go Prez.
And yes, Debbie, Trump is sending the troopers to 19 other states to clean up the big cities and stuff. So he's on a roll. He's not done.
Chicago's next.
Yes, Chicago is next.
Amy says, liked, shared, and invited some friends. Awesome. How are you, Amy? Nice to see you. Aaron says, smiles in the dark. I was wondering why I saw teeth. What's up, buddy? Nice to see you.
Hi. Hello, Aaron.
Lovely teeth you have there. Amy says, hi, Bill and Debbie. Debbie says, there you are, Aaron. Good thing you smiled or I would have missed you. I love you, Aaron, just so you know that. It's great that we can joke about things like that. Amy says, hi, Aaron. Howie Richardson, welcome back. He says, hey, everyone. Hello, Howie. Nice to see you. Welcome to the Politi-tics version of this show, where all things are politics, but probably not. That's the mantra here. We are definitely, most certainly, 100% going to talk about politics, but probably not. Aaron says, I'm sneaky. You are. And Amy says, hi, Howie. Welcome back. And Howie says, hi.
Hi, Howie. Welcome back.
Aaron says, hi, Amy. Hugs. Debbie says, do you still stink of Indian food, too? Jeez. Harsh, man.
Where's the love, Debbie? Where's the love?
Soph Allen's here. She says, hey, guys. How are you guys feeling? Fantastic, Soph. How are you feeling?
Hi, Soph.
Amy says, Aaron, I finally saw the video with the names. Hilarious. I get it now. Amy says, hi, Soph. And Howie says, chilling inside, was helping a friend puppy sit so she could go on vacation. That's nice. Very nice of you to do. I had to cat sit this weekend for about an hour to a deaf cat. Cats already don't care about you, and now this one can't hear you either. It's quite interesting. Aaron says, yeah, Amy, I'm so glad. Debbie says, Amy, now don't forget, I am Jay Quellen. You are? I thought you were Debbie.
I think it's got something to do with that list of names they were talking about.
Oh. Maybe. I have no idea.
I don't either. I'm out of the loop on this one. I'm lost.
Oh,
They forgot about me.
That's when you know you've succeeded, when they start telling jokes that don't include you, but it's happening.
Right.
Amy says, are you sitting on puppies, Howie? Well, now that you mention it that way, it's kind of weird. Soph says, my mom is struggling to walk now. Good. Good. Better that than her laying in bed withering away. Amy says, LOL, Jake Quillen. Jake Quillian. Jaquillian. Jake Willian. Jake Alien.
Is that one getting to you there, Jake?
Yeah. Howie says, LOL, Amy, is don't think the Dash Hound or the Dachshund would be happy about that. I don't think that the Dachshund would be happy about me sitting on them. Well, they are hot dogs. You could put your buns on them.
Wiener dog.
Wiener dog. Anybody question what a Penile-Spud is?
I know.
Aaron says, Balak. LOL. Balak.
Baylock.
I'm with you. Jaquilin.
That one's going to bother you, isn't it? Jake Quillen?
J. Quillen. Balak. Amy says, Dachshunds are such comical dogs. Well, they're lowriders. It's in the blood. They scrub their nuts on the ground when they walk. Soph says, hi, Amy. How are you? And Amy says, Soph, I'm not feeling well, but I'm blessed to be here. You are blessed to be here. So am I. I'm blessed with your presence. Oh, Lord. You done said it, Amy. Soph says, Amy, are you sick right now? Howard Richardson says, last time I puppy sat, that is not what I saw the first time I saw that. The last time I puppy sat Dachshunds, I was under the age of 10. For some reason, I saw pussy catch.
Gee, Jake.
Sometimes I misread, but it took me a minute. Amy says, I made smoked sausage with fried taters and onions. Nice. No Penile-Spuds, though. I had spaghetti for dinner. It was delicious. A little bit peppery, but good. And toast. Actual toast with butter on it. It wasn't cut, but it was toast. Amy says, yes, Soph. Right now.
Wow.
At this very moment. I don't feel very well. Soph says, oh no, what kind of sick are you? What kind of sick are you having, Amy? Are you having a cold? The flu? Howie says, charcoal cooked Swiss burgers on onion buns is my dinner. Nice. That sounds delicious. Do you have the buns with the onions in them? Like the little patches of onion? I forget what they're called, but they are delicious. Amy says, how long as you dog sitting? How long are you dog sitting? Og Ford P. Doggy. Wrong place, buddy. Take that shit somewhere else. And Soph says, I'm praying for you, Amy, to get better. Thank you. How about that? Amy says, welcome, Ogford. You don't have to worry about that. She says, I don't care about either, but thanks for helping the algorithm. Right on. Howie says, I've been raising animals ever since I can remember. Started working on the dairy farm when I was 5. Nice. I've been working a long time too, Howie. Not on the farm, though. Amy says, be nice, Og Ford. Time out. Be nice. Aaron says, these trolls have no idea the hell they're about to get. Y'all do y'all. I ain't worried about it. I'm just here to have a good time and talk to the people that want to talk to me. If you don't want to talk to me, get the hell out. I've already got him, Amy. Amy says, thanks for the prayer, Soph. And Debbie says, Aaron is not feeling the love from me today. Sorry, Aaron. Sucks to be you. Well, I love you, Aaron.
I love you, Amy.
And Aaron says, Debbie, I smell like a cedar and a man soap. I smell like cedar and man soap. Right on. Like Bigfoot. Like Bigfoot with a heat rash. Pungent, but sticky. Ugh. Amy says, man soap. Nice. Aaron says, Debbie, it never sucks to be me, LOL. It sucks to be me all the time. I don't know what you're missing. At least every day. Amy says, Howie's mom sells goat milk soap. Nice. Goat milk soap. That's interesting. I guess it would be good for your skin. Howie says, we have our own personal petting zoo. Multiple big breed dogs, goats, cats, a potbelly pig, and 3 rabbits. Nice. I'm guessing little dogs, because if you had a big dog, you'd be minus 3 rabbits. And Debbie says, ha, Aaron. What it is, says little eggs, stick horse, likes Trump's service. You ain't gonna let that go, are you, buddy? I'm not a little egg anymore. I grew up. Now I'm a big egg. And the big egg is dead, so I took his place. Amanda says, I what it is. And Amy says, I what it is. And Howie says, yep, goat milk soap. It's actually good for your skin. I knew it would be. And Amy says, Jacqueline. Jacqueline. I got it. I just like saying it. Jacqueline. It feels dirty for some reason. Howie says, LOL. Good one. Aaron says, send them the skit, LOL. I guess that's to Amy. Amy, send them the skit. Or Debbie. Whoever said that. She saw it. I think I've seen it too. Debbie says, when Aaron mentioned the video of the names, I told everyone for the first 3 days of my life, my mom named me Jacqueline. So because of the video, I am Jacqueline. Got it. Well, my mom named me one thing and then immediately started calling me something else. So I've got more than one name. What it is says, hello to all. I'm in awe of your presence. Oh, well, thank you. Why? Are you telling them that you can't understand why they come back to see me? I'm in awe of their presence, too. Debbie says, my dad changed my name to Deborah when he went to sign the birth certificate. He probably didn't like Jacqueline. He probably didn't want to have to say that. He probably was imagining himself calling you for trouble. Jacqueline! Yeah, let's change it to Deborah. It's much easier. Bill Bennett says, you drag your balls all day, and you would be yappy also. The Dotsons, yep. Luck is Blake. Ah. Luck. Soph says, I'm here for you, Amy. Aaron says, Blake is Luck. K. Right. EA says, Salam. Assalamu alaikum, EA. How are you? Nice to see you. UK Hot Bear, welcome to the show. Come on in. How are you doing? Amy says, hi, EA. And Soph says, I am good today. Excellent. That's wonderful. Wonderful news, Soph. I'm happy for you. Aaron says, UK, same face, different name. I see. And Amy says, welcome, UK Hot Bear. Howie Richardson says, yep. The buns have onions baked in. Yeah, those are good. I've had those before. They're big too, aren't they? Make a good burger on those things. Amanda says, hi, EA, and hi, UK. EA says, hello, all. How's the weather in Morocco? Amy says, it's respiratory issues, Soph. EA says, hello, Abdullah. And something else in another language. I don't know what that means, so I'm not going to repeat it. I try not to say things I don't understand. Howie says, hi, Amanda. I hope your day is great. Well, she's next to me, so it is. A little shiny for her taste, but great. Aaron says, EA, we speak English. Right on. Soph says, what is respiratory issues? Well, it's like respiratory tissue, but without the T.
Dun, dun.
Amy says, EA is a friend of the show. He is that. Aaron says, I know. Soph says, hey, Aaron. Aaron says, but we still speak English. Right on. Amy says, I love y'all. I love you too. Amanda says, EA always calls Jake that. He's okay. Yeah, I didn't understand the last word, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's been told before. He knows better.
Well, S3, you can tell your brother that you ran across somebody that's not a complete idiot and that you lost one of those shout-outs. So, does that actually work for you ever? And what do you get out of that? I'm just curious. Are you literally that stupid? Or just figuratively? Does your mommy know that you play games like that? Aaron says, Disco Soph, what's up? Or what up, sorry. And Amanda says,
I don't know. My chat
no
jumped.
S3.
Oh, yeah, my chat jumped.
Amy says, we're not stupid, S3. We can read. And nobody in here is actually 3 years old, so that is not going to work. So says, nothing much, Aaron. What about you? How are you feeling today? Aaron says, cool. Well, get a blanket. Amy says, term of endearment. Right on. I guess S3 subs is going to lose his bet. I guess so. Aaron says, yep. Amy, I guess you're right. Aw. Amy says, aw, presents. Howie says, I'm named after my dad and grandpa, first, middle, and last, but I've always responded to Howie. So you're one of those, like, the third type guys? I always wondered what that was like. Have the same name through 3 generations, first, second, and third. It worked for Hank Williams, but I don't know if anybody else could pull that off.
And the L word, the EA posted means tear or teardrop.
Abdullah?
Abdullah, whatever
means
the
uncle.
Yes, then it was teardrop was the next word.
Gotcha. Amy says, plus there's a movie with your name, Howard. Howard the Duck. I'm sure there's other Howard movies too. I just can't think of them. Howard Hughes, maybe. EA says it's hot in Morocco. I bet it is. It's hot here too, EA. What it is says BE, Big Egg. From what it is, it's payback, Jake. I hear you. Well, it's good for the goose. It's good for the gander.
He got you there.
He does. I can take it. I can take it what it is. Amy says, we could have used your expertise last night, Howie. We were talking about goats. Right on? That's right. Weren't you here last night? Or was it Friday night?
No, it was last weekend, I think.
Or or Wednesday night, whatever it was. Maybe it was. They all kind of run together to me, Howie. I can't remember who was where. Howie says, LOL. And the popular nickname in high school was Howie Mandel from Deal or No Deal, Amy. Well, it was your party. You can cry if you want to. That's a Howie Mandel joke. Because when I was in school, he was Bobby, the cartoon. And also, he was a comedian that would blow up rubber gloves on his head. That's pretty much all he did. I don't know why anybody ever thought he was funny, but he was weird. Amy says, I used to like Howie Mandel. I did too, but I don't know why. He wasn't funny. Aaron says, I remember Bobby's World. Right. Howie says, LOL, Amy is thinking I've seen those videos. Aaron says, George Foreman has like 11 boys all named after him. That's crazy. I guess it'd be easy to remember your name, though. George, come here. Amy says, Aaron, that's true. Even the girls are named George. Wow. Aaron says, yep. I was like, what a selfish person. Bill Bennett says, great name, Howard. That's my middle name. That was my dad's name too, Howard. His name was Howard Frizzell. No, I'm not a Frizzell. And Howie says, well, typically goats have 1 to 2 babies, and we have 1, and we can't milk. She'll try to gouge you with her horns. Well, you could tie her head up in one of those things. Put your head through the hole and then put a feed bag there, and then you can do whatever you want to do to her. I forget what that thing's called, but there's a fix for that. It's like stocks. You put her head in there and close it up so she can't back out, and then put a feed bag over her head, and she just sit there eating while you milk her.
You can put her in a squeeze, too.
It's the best of both worlds. She gets what she wants, and you get what you want. Amy says, William Howard Bennett. I like it. That's got an official kind of ring to it. You sound like somebody's going to sell some real estate or something.
Right. It sounds important.
Important, yeah. I wish I had a name like that. Try having a name like Jake Johnson. What can you do with that? Nothing. My first name's a 4-letter word. 2 fish hooks. That's it. Can't make a logo or anything. Howie says, my younger brother got his name from the movie My Cousin Vinny. Nice. What's his name? Vinny? Gillespie says, I have taken your advice and am no longer addicted to my previous vices and found the light in the way. Well, that's good, Gillespie. I don't remember giving you that advice, but if you took it, that's wonderful. I'm just going to call you Gil. That's easier to say. Thank you, Jas. You're an interesting looking person. Also, you have a fantastic voice. Thank you, Jas. I appreciate that. I'm smart, too. Sometimes. Sometimes I'm an idiot, but it's always fun to watch. Jas says, tuned in from London, England. Hey, we got some more people from England. Welcome. Howie says, his middle name is Jerome. My grandma calls him VJ. Don't tell your grandma what that means in modern parlance. Make him live with it. That's the best thing you can do to a younger brother. You could also tell all of his friends about vajazzling. Show them pictures.
That's wrong, Jake.
I'm evil. I'm telling you.
Don't give people bad ideas.
I'm evil, and I got nothing but time and a vindictive bone, too. I'll hurt you. I'll hurt you in ways that you won't feel for 20 years. You'll wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, realizing you had been beaten 20 years ago and you didn't even know it. That's the kind of shit I'll do to you. Amy says, I saw John H. earlier. Good. He might be coming in here soon. Amanda says,
hi, Jess. Welcome.
Jess says, but it's 2 a.m., so I'm going to go to bed soon. I hear you, buddy. It's 9 p.m. here. I'm in North Carolina, in the east coast of the United States. But I hope you come back. We're here 5 nights a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sunday and Monday, we do Bible study. Wednesday and Friday, we hang out and chill and talk about whatever comes up. And Saturday, we talk about whatever comes up in a political bent. It's open to politics. We're open to argue. We argue on Saturdays so that we can share ideas, whether we agree or not. The point is to argue and remain friends, which is something we're not doing a lot of in the world this day. So it's a good practice. It's good for us to be able to argue and make our points, and then at the end of it, still be buddies. But it don't always happen. Sometimes it does. Aaron says, welcome, Gila. Welcome, Gila Monster. That's getting news. Gila Monster that's getting news. I guess I missed it. Jazz says, hello, Amanda. How are you this evening? Wonderful. Amanda?
Hi, Jazz. I'm good. Thank you for asking.
So what is this channel about then? It's about everything, mostly you. It's about you. I read the chat, and I make you the star of the show. Whatever you got to say, I want to hear it. The only thing I ask is that you be nice to the ladies and don't go over the line with the vulgarity. That's it. And just remember, there's a lot of women in here, so be nice. But tonight, it's about politics or the zeitgeist, whatever's happening in the world, whatever you want to talk about. You just want to shoot the shit, that's fine too. We can do that, whatever. Now, tomorrow night, it'll be all serious. We'll be about Bible tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, Sunday night, and we do Bible study on Sunday and Monday. And that's what we do on Sunday and Monday and nothing else. Focus on what we're doing. And it ain't preachy. We're reading the Bible and making an understanding of what's in it. That's it. But Wednesday and Friday, we'll do whatever. Play music, talk about movies, talk about personal stuff, whatever. Amanda says, you said that already.
I did.
Okay. Amy says, the hot topic in my area, armadillos in Indiana. Really? That's hot? I thought that's where armadillos were from. Like the middle of the country. Mostly Texas, but Indiana's right up there, isn't it?
Indiana's just under Illinois.
Oh. Well, scratch what I said. Why are armadillos in Indiana? Amy says, I'm drinking sweet tea tonight. Me too, only it tastes like coffee. And it's hot and in a cup. Maybe it is coffee. I'm almost out of it too.
Well, that's a bummer. You better get you an Amanda.
Let's see if it works. I'm trying something. Y'all bear with me. Ah, it worked. Wonderful. Amy says, I read that one. Aaron says, sorry, that was autocorrect. The girls comment. Sweet tea is excellent, says Aaron. It is. That's the only way tea should be. Anybody that drinks unsweet tea is being sacrilegious. I'm pretty sure of it. Jazz says, I've stopped believing in democracy. I believe it's a farce. We have a false choice of two turds, except one has sprinkles on it, LOL. You're not wrong, Jazz. You're not wrong. First of all, you're in London, so it doesn't really apply to you. But in this country, we do not live in a democracy. We have not, never, nor will we have ever lived in a democracy. This is a constitutional republic with democratically elected officials. And so that's the big misunderstanding. We have a constitution and it works very well. I don't know how it is in England, but from what I understand, and I've heard some stuff, it ain't going so well over there right now. I would encourage you to vote if you have that choice and to make your voice heard and to make change. Be the thing you want to change. That's the best way to do it. I mean, we did it. We left England so that we could have this place. And sometimes it works all right. And sometimes it's garbage. Amy says she can't fill it up if you don't give it to her. It's full. Let me check it out, though. Yep, still not tea. Aaron says he wanted her to reach. Yep. I wanted to get a little glimpse of her hand in the screen. Bill says, I'm in Indiana. I've never seen an armadillo, but I swear I saw a black panther once and an angel or a ghost. Well, it wasn't a ghost. I promise that. There's John. Hey, John. John says, good morning, everyone. People are getting arrested for saying I love bacon. Really? That's strange. John, have you met Jazz? Jazz also is in London, England. Jazz, not Jazz. 2 S's. Jazz, John, Jazz. Good day, mate. Or whatever you guys say.
Totally Australian.
Aaron says, we have a neighborhood bear. This is a true story. I lived, when I grew up, on a road called Panther Branch in Sandersville, Georgia, way back in the woods. Way deep. You had to pump sunshine in and break dawn with a billy club. But back when I was a child, there were wild panthers roaming all over the place, hence the name Panther Branch. And I could remember hearing them scream in the wilderness. They sounded like a lady screaming. And every now and then one would be up on our front porch just chilling, like sleeping on our porch. And we couldn't go outside because he was wild. And then all of a sudden they just vanished. I don't know what happened. And I think there's some news about it. I think if you go looking, I think they got hunted to extinction or they got caught and moved. I'm not real sure. I was very young and I haven't looked into it as an adult, but I remember things. And I think they were all hunted either to extinction or they were all hunted, captured, and moved to another place. I don't know which. But they were wild panthers, black panthers all over the place when I was a kid in Georgia. Enough of them that we saw them regularly. And if you know anything about panthers, they are leopards. They just are black. But if you look under their coat, you can still see the spots. You just have to look very closely, but they are there. They are leopards, and they are not indigenous to Georgia. How they got there, I don't know. But seems like they were moved because people wanted to live there.
Something I remember seeing about Florida had a bunch of them, too.
Maybe. It might have been a thing.
They have a thing called a Florida panther, actually.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I have a neighborhood bear too, Aaron. We've got quite a few black bears in this area. And we see one every now and then.
Hi, Nugget.
Amy says, Bill, DNR says they are migrating here from the south. I haven't seen one either. What is DNR? Do not resuscitate. Jas says, it's going well at all. But I also don't believe in democracy because the masses aren't always right. True. The thing about democracy is that's mob rule plus one. That means that whatever the popular thing is what happens, whether it's right or wrong. Masses are often wrong. You know as well as I know that a mass of people are often panicky and they're easy to scare and they're easy to cause to make ruckus. You really want that to be the popular vote? Democracy does not work in large settings. It only works in small settings. If you got 12 people on an island, sure, democracy works. And socialism works too. But if you got 300 million people, it does not work. What does work, the only thing that works is capitalism. It's not perfect, but it's the best thing that's ever been tried. Amy says, hi, Nugget. I don't disagree with you, Jazz. I think democracy is a sham. I think anybody that uses that phrase, democracy, our democracy's on the ballot, or we're trying to save our democracy, I think they're all traitors. Pardon me. Don't blow your nose on camera, Jake. It's unprofessional. What it is says, why is China flared up about destroyers sitting outside of Venezuela?
Because there's China flags all over Venezuela and they're trying to figure out just exactly what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
They were sent over there with no warning at all. Trump just sent them all over there just to say, hey, We want to see what you're doing.
The thing is China has been making inruns for quite some time to take over the world. If left unchecked, they will be the next people to try that. They have been building bases out in the ocean, making islands, effectively growing their land, which grows their GDP and their military presence. And if they're left unchecked, guarantee you they're going to try to take over.
I saw in the thing that I was watching about it that there is more Chinese flags hanging around Venezuela than there is Venezuela.
Aaron says, I love bacon, runs away. Can't arrest me if you can't catch me, huh? Why, John, are they being arrested for loving bacon? Or saying I love bacon? I meant to ask that earlier and I got sidetracked. Amy says, I'm in South Central, Bill. Amy says, neighborhood bear, OMG. Yep. I had a neighborhood crime dog when I was a kid. His name was McGruff, and he took a bite out of crime. Patty's here. She says, hello, all. I'm so late. Hi, Patty. Nice to see you.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hey, Patty.
Patty says, Miss Amanda. Amy says, oh, bacon, a slur against the Muslim population in England. Oh, I see. Yeah, I see what it is. I love bacon too, but not for the reasons they do. They don't have free speech like we do. Gotcha. Apparently we don't either, because a while back they were threatening to come over here and arrest people for saying things here that they didn't like. I was like, come on, let's see that happen. You guys want some tea? Amy says, hi, Patty. And Patty says, Miss Amy. Rich S. is here. He says, there's a Florida Panther hockey team. And hi, by the way. Hey, Rich. Nice to see you, brother. Amy says, hi, Rich. Amanda says,
hi, Rich.
Amy says, DNR is Department of Natural Resources. Ah, that's what they all say. Aaron says, the bear was way bigger than I thought. I had never seen one. It was rocking the trash dumpster like a tot. Ah. Yeah, bears can get pretty big. And if you've never seen one before, it is shocking because they are big. They're like 900 pounds. Some of them can be. The ones around here get up to about that big because they got a lot of food. We live out in the country. So they get pretty big. But they're black bears, and they usually won't hurt you unless you provoke them or threaten their young or something like that. They're usually more scared of you. In that, when it comes to a black bear, if you make yourself big, and make a lot of noise, they'll usually run away. And if you cuddle up, if you drop down and get into the fetal position and lay on the ground, they'll come up and snuggle with you. True story. Maybe you'd have to gnaw your arm off to get out from under it. Amanda?
The Florida panther is an endangered species of cougar found in southern Florida. Known for its pale brown coat, long tail, and role as a top predator in the ecosystem. Facing threats from habit loss, fragmentation, and vehicle collisions, its population is critically low, making it a symbol of conservation efforts in the state of Florida.
All right, I need you to look into that because my understanding is that a panther is a leopard, not a cougar. Unless those are the same thing.
This is a totally different type of thing.
Well, it's not a panther then. They're just nicknaming it that.
No, it's called a Florida panther.
Well, if it's a panther, then it's a leopard.
No, not according. They don't even look the same.
Okay, then it's not a panther. A panther is black.
No, do you not just hear me say brown?
Well, that's not a panther. That's a cougar.
Did you not hear me just read that?
Do you not hear me saying that they're just nicknaming it panther? It's not a panther.
Well,
if it's brown, it's a cougar. It's not a panther. A panther is a leopard. It has spots and everything. It's just a black leopard. That's what a panther is.
it says an endangered species of cougar.
Right. Not panther.
Well, I grew up in Florida. That's all I know is it has a Florida panther.
Okay. Well, I mean, they can call it that, but that's not what it is. Science. Usually wrong. John H. says, it's the Starmer Army shutting people down for speech. Yeah, that Keir Starmer is something else, isn't he? You saw him the other day in that meeting next to Trump, though? He was all smiles and yes, sirs. I promise you that. What it is mountain lion cubs are born with spots until they grow and the tan comes in. Yep. But they're not leopards. They're lions. But they do have spots. But also deer have spots too. A lot of babies have spots for some reason. Aaron says, good to see you, Patty. And John says, even the Labor Party is going against Keir Starmer. Now I went on a protest today. That's fantastic. Union Jack, all the way. You got my support, John. I love you, buddy. I hope you guys can get rid of that guy. I don't know much about English politics, but I know Keir Starmer is not the guy. He's no Tony Blair. You know what I'm saying? Amy says, Pinky in the brain. What are we going to do today, brain? Same thing as yesterday and every day, Pinky. Take over the world. Kyle 460 says, what do you look for in a man? Nothing. I don't look for men. What do you look for in a man, you weirdo? Welcome to the show. Amy says, Kyle, welcome. Try starting with hello. That's usually how conversations work when you enter a room full of strangers. It's usually better for you to start with hello. Bill Bennett says, what's going to happen to our free trade and capitalism when AI takes most of our jobs? My answer, sweet Jesus. It's going to make your chat jump, but he'll return too. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to get that far or not, Bill. I don't think it's going to get that far because at some point people are going to stop, being able to feed their families, and that tends to make people angry. So I think that's probably going to go away pretty soon. AI is definitely going to be here for a while, but I don't think it's going to take over all the jobs like they want it to because people need to work, And also people like to work. They have this idea that they're going to get rid of money, except for the fact that the people, the people that run the place, they like having money. And not everybody's going to be really ready to give it up. Aaron says, hi, Kyle. You are welcome to be respectful and stay. Amanda says, hi, Kyle. And Rich S. says, I look for a strong protector, virility, and a good provider and a leader. And you found one, Rich, right here. Oh, yeah, that's me. Bill Bennett says, I'm in Richmond. I guess it's South Central also. Unless you're a rich man north of Richmond. And then you'd be in Virginia. So. Amy says, Boston tea from the Bay. You got my joke. Look at Amy being quick and clever. And Amy says, Unionville, Bill. And same with skunks. Make a bunch of noise and they run away. Spraying you is the last defense they have. Right. And according to a cartoon I saw once, the answer to that is tomato juice. Apparently, if you get sprayed with a skunk, you can't get it off of you, and it stinks to high heaven in a very bad way. But if you take a bath in tomato juice, you can wash it off. I saw it in a cartoon once, but I'm pretty sure I can pull it off. Bill Bennett says, Kyle 460, you look for a soul. It's a good starter. The hater, go hate somewhere else. Control says, do you believe in UFOs? Yes, but I believe that they're just FOs to somebody. Welcome to the show, Control. Have you met Alt and Delete? Amy says, hi, the hater. I don't care your preference. You don't need to announce it. Right. Aaron says, hater, come back in 5 minutes and try again. Amy says, hi, welcome, Control. Have you met Alt and Delete? Bill Bennett says, they're all cats, LOL. Yes, they're all cats. They're all feline in nature. But my job is to talk, so that's what I do. Control says, what's up, gang? Britain is gone. Nope, Britain is here. In this room. In this very room, Britain is alive and well. But I get what you're saying. And you're not wrong. Bill Bennett says, Unionville, never heard of it. Amy says, hang on, my chat jumped. Amy says, animal babies need spots for camouflage. That's pretty smart, actually. You're probably right about that. Amy says, Bill, it's in brown country. Is it now? Bill says, I've heard of brown country. That's way south. Brown County, sorry. I don't know why I said country. Brown County. And what it is says, is it true that when America was at war with the Muslims in the 1920s, that soldiers would wipe lard on the bullets that were used to shoot the Muslims, and they feared it would send them to hell? Unfortunately, yes, that is true. And that method has been used more than once. I'm not sure which war it was done in, though, if it was done in the 20s or if it was done during Desert Storm or whatever it was. I'm not sure when it happened, but I've heard that also, and it was something they were proud of, unfortunately. In my opinion, that's a technicality, though. I don't think God will send you to hell for something that you had no control over. Not that I believe in that God or that rule, but if there's any Muslims out there listening, I think that's a technicality. Amy says, Monroe County, Brown County. Bill says, everyone has a phone in their hand, and no one could have pictured that not long ago. Right. Yeah. That's not true, Bill. If you go back and look at old photographs of the 20s, you'll notice that everybody on the bus is looking down at a thing in their hand. Also, the youth of America walking down the street with that little thing in their hand. Only then it was called a newspaper. And there's always been something to distract people. This is just the latest iteration of it. But I think that comment was in reference to UFOs, kind of. And yes, I do believe in UFOs. Only I believe they're FOs to the people that built them. They're only UFOs to us because we don't know what they are. But somebody knows what they are. Somebody made those things. Amy says it hurts skunks to spray, does it? I would have never guessed that Pepe Le Pew was hurting himself. That cartoon lied to me. And it was rapey. Go figure. And Debbie says, I don't think AI will take over because it cannot think and reason like a human. It has no common sense, much like Democrats. They won't take over either. Ha ha ha. You're not wrong. They are going to push it, and it is going to be in your face for quite a long time. As to whether or not it's going to completely take over, it can't. Because they have massively over hyped AI. They're advertising that it is sentient, that it is conscious, that it is super smart and can be way smarter than people at the drop of a hat. That just ain't true, because AI is only as smart as the people that programmed it. And they're just people. So it will have the same hang-ups that people have. It may be able to think of some things really fast. But like you said, it cannot reason. It cannot make judgment calls. It cannot have compassion. It cannot question things. It just does whatever it's supposed to do. And that's not going to work. Amy says, LOL, Debbie. And Aaron says, if AI goes south, you will be the first to know, Bill. You have an inside source. And Debbie says, I don't know what it is. And what it is says, some good old skunky spray sex with your female partner. That was the Pepe Le Pew idea. John H. says, Britain is alive and kicking. That's right, John. You tell him. You fly that Union Jack hard. Jack hard. Union flag. Aaron says, salute, John. Amy says, I know in the Walking Dead series, they used bullets dipped in zombie blood to affect Alexandra. Right on. I actually liked that show for about 8 seasons, and I had all I could take, and I just gave up. What it is, have you seen that video Jamie pulled? That video up? Wait, my chat jumped. Yep. We're working on that, what it is. At some point, my Jamie will be able to pull up videos while I'm talking, but I have to get that figured out. I don't know how to do that just yet. There's got to be a way that she can be in this OBS session with me and be a co-producer. I know YouTube has a function like that, but I'm not sure what you can do on it. I just got to play with it and figure it out. I got to have some time to play with it and figure it out. That's the big problem. I just hadn't had time to sit down and work on it. But I will figure it out. Amy says, LOL, what it is. And John says, there's only one race, the human race. Right on. There's only one race, NASCAR. And I'm definitely a racist. NASCAR. Amy says, eating peanut butter cream cookies dipped in milk. Nice. I like peanut butter filled cookies. My favorite is chocolate chip cookies, though. Aaron says, some of them still slow, John. LOL. See what I did there? Oh, I caught it. Believe that. Bill Bennett says, how in Sam hell do all phones work without interferences and sound like you're next to the person with no delay? Magic. Even the landline is hard for me to comprehend. LOL. Well, listen, it seems like magic because technology has come a very, very long way in a very, very short period of time, which means you're likely to not have any idea how a thing works. I don't know how this microphone works. I do. I understand the inner workings of it, but logically speaking, it is capturing my voice in real time, applying filters, and then running it down this cable into my computer, which goes out across the internet, down into the cables into your house, into your computer, is transposed into an audible sound, and then pumped into your headphones and into your brain like mayonnaise in real time. And I don't know how they do that either. but they can. It's all about ones and zeros. But there is no magic. It is a real thing that is tangibly happening in front of you. All those computer chips that they're fighting about over in China right now. I mean, Japan. Sorry. Taiwan, wherever that's at. That's Japan, right? Aaron says, Amy, you going to share your cookies? Can I have a cookie? You going to eat that cookie?
Some milk and cookies.
Bill says, use AI as a tool for research, and most importantly, do your own research. I agree, Bill. I always endorse doing your own research, because at the end of the day, you don't need what would 1984 call it? A Ministry of Intelligence, a Ministry of Truth, something like that. You don't need that. You need to be able to find information for yourself. You can be as smart as you are. You don't need to be beholden to someone smarter than you to tell you what's up. This idea, this democratic idea of listen to the experts, don't read, don't think for yourself. That is a bad idea. That's what's got us in the shape we're in right now. We need to go back to meritocracy, and we need to go back to people being valuable members of society because of what they know, because of where they are in life. I am educated, but according to what I learned from old Mr. Clements, I never let school get in the way of my education. You know what I mean? Mark Twain said that, and I agree. Never let school get in the way of your education. Always be educating yourself. Always be looking for truth. It's out there. You just have to find it. And the more you read, the smarter you'll be. And the more you'll know. And the more you'll understand about the world you live in. Why would anybody want to float through this world and have no understanding of how it works? I don't get that. I don't want to be one of those people. And I don't need AI. I've already outsmarted AI twice already, and I'll do it again. It's not as smart as they claim it to be. And it certainly isn't sentient. Debbie says, careful, Amy. Aaron wants your cookies. He just wants the cookie. The cookie. Amy says, cookie, cookie milk, puff, puff, pass. John says, I see Aaron.
LOL, he said play with it.
Jack hard. Union Jack hard. Hang on, my chat jumped. I found it. Rich S says, milk and cookies, huh? Some people never grow up, LOL. Well, why you gotta be a child to like milk and cookies? I'm a grown man and I like milk and cookies. And ice cream. And sometimes I want to bundle up in a blanket up to my neck where all you can see is my mustache sticking out and eat me a cookie. And I'm a full grown man. Bill Bennett says, ask AI, LOL. Aaron says, oh, I got the cookies and milk. I feel loved. You are loved, Aaron. Debbie says, I'm sorry. Jake does not have time to play with it. I really don't. What time I do have, I'm exhausted and want to sleep. What it is says, Big Egg is going to play with it and get figured out. That's right, what it is. You don't have to yell. I'm with you. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie. It's Wonkavision, says Amy. Wankavision. Is that where you do it and it spits in your eye? 3D?
That's a close-up. Didn't see that coming, did you?
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. Aaron says, I never had peanut butter cream cookies. First time for everything.
Aaron's sheltered.
Bill Bennett says zeros and ones. That's correct. It's all about zeros and ones. Binary, which means two. Not trinary or quaternary, which DNA is that. It's four-dimensional code DNA is, which is why I know there's a God. Rich says, haven't been to the dollar store lately, Aaron. Yeah, because they got those cookies at the dollar store. And a few other cookies, too. I like those ones that are shaped like a peanut and has like peanut butter in the middle. What are they called? Nutter butters? Something like that. Nutter bars, nutter butters. They look like a peanut. Those are great cookies to dip in your coffee, though. What it is says, you can't see electricity. It's a phenomenon. You can see the byproduct of it. Correct. And also, we did not discover electricity. It has always been here. We just stumbled into the process of how to use it. We didn't discover it. Electricity, when cavemen were building fire, electricity was here in the world. All they had to do was plug a wire into the ground and turn on a light. They didn't know how, though. Imagine what's here that you don't know now, that has always been here. There are those things. Imagine what you don't understand about magnetism. And when you realize that we live in an electrified universe, that everything runs on magnetism and electromagnetism and attraction and buoyancy. When you realize that this whole universe is functioning off of electricity, that the brain produces electricity, then you realize you don't know anything about it at all. You're just scratching the surface. Imagine what we'll know in another 100 and 200 years if we have scientists that'll do anything besides live in an echo chamber. We need some more 1940s scientists, ones that are actually looking for the future, not ones that are just trying to get by with a smaller phone. My favorite thing is hearing all these people that say, and they say it all the time too, thanks to evolution, we have everything we have today. All the technology, everything we have today is because of evolution. Really? Explain to me how evolution makes an iPhone work. I promise you can't. It's a lie, is what I'm saying. You can't trust the institution of science. You have to have science yourself. You have to do it yourself. Go look for it. Go study a subject. Go open a book and verse yourself in the knowledge of what you don't understand, and then make inferences, make connections, make predictions, and then falsify those predictions, and you will be a scientist. And who knows? You might be the one to discover the next thing that has always been here that we just didn't know about, like electricity. Amy says, Rich, that's exactly where I bought these cookies, the Dollar Tree. And Bill says, it's sad that almost all the research we do is bullshit. Exactly. And Amy says, everything is bullshit, and it just gets worse, I promise. That is my thesis, and I stick to it. Everything is bullshit. Everything you think you know is bullshit. All of it. Unfortunately. Rich says, I know. My dad likes those and windmill cookies. He's 80. What it is says, where did Nancy Pelosi go? Where's Waldo? Where's Nancy? She's still around. Last time I saw her, she was in England at Oxford making a fool of herself. Or Cambridge, or whatever school that is there. The one where they have debates on the floor. She was downright making a fool of herself. Amy says, back in the day, we looked at books called encyclopedias. Right. Encyclopedias. Where did they go? Remember they used to have a guy come around and try to sell you encyclopedias? When's the last time you've seen an encyclopedia? They just vanished. If you have a set, you got something that is ever increasingly rarer in this world. Walter Davis says, good evening, all. What's up, Walter? Nice to see you, buddy. Amy says, windmill cookies, almond cookies. It's not my favorite. Yeah, I don't like those cookies either. I do like those molasses cookies, though. There's two kinds of cookies. There's a light brown one and a dark brown one. They're little plastic containers. They're $1 for the pack. I think there's 10 cookies or 20 cookies in the pack. Those things are delicious. They're molasses cookies and sugar cookies. I think that's what they are. Might be caramel. I don't know what they are. But there's nothing in them. They're just cookies. But those are great dipping in coffee, too. Amy says, hi, Walter. And Aaron says, I'll have to check it out, Rich.
Hi, Walter.
Aaron says, yo, Amy, I love those windmill cookies. They have cinnamon ones and the coconut ones. Those are my favorite. Amy says, cookie and milk, innuendo. Well, yeah, it could be an innuendo. A double entendre, if it were.
Some milk and cookies.
Aaron says, facts, Amy. Walter says, hi, Jake, Amanda. Am satiri. What? What does that say?
I think that might supposed to be Amy and
Amy? What it
Control
is?
Delete, maybe?
Maybe. Amy and Control. What it is, Rich, Bill, Debbie, Aaron, Control, and John. You stumped me there, Walter. Made me trip up. Am Satili.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be Amy.
Aaron says, hi, Walter. John says, hey, Walter. Thumbs up. Amy says, where's Kevin B tonight? I don't know. I hadn't seen him in a couple days. Where are you, Kevin?
I don't know, Amy. He wasn't here last night either.
Walter says, you can feel the effect of electricity. Ask me how I know. Oh, I know how you know. I felt it before, too. And the force is strong. Amy says, I've been zapped with electricity before. I've had 1,000,000 volts running through my body before. 1,000,000 volts. The volts won't hurt you. It's the amps that'll get you. Amy says, my husband and I used to live in this old farmhouse, and exposed wire got me. I was cooking spaghetti on a stove one time, on a 220 stove, and I was barefooted, and I stepped on a vent, and I stuck the fork in the water, and I guess that there was a short in the stove, and the eye was alive, and it made a circuit and lit me up and would not let go. The only reason I let go is because it finally kicked me off of it, but 220 will grab you and hold you. Talk about getting weak in the knees. Walter says, I've seen the white light and told it's not my time by electricity. Napurin Seppo says, Seppo is here again. Hello, Seppo. Opus Nirupan. I was wondering if that spelled something backwards, but it doesn't. There's something clever about your name. I just hadn't put my finger on it yet. Amy says, Aaron, You've never had Nutter Butter cookies? And Amanda says, hey, everybody, don't forget to hit that $ Jake Johnson Band on Cash App or paypal.me/Jake Johnson Band. Yes, please do. Like, subscribe, share, support, join, and super chats are available in the chat box if you want to show a little love. If you want to, BJ, you can do that right there, or hit that Cash App, $ Jake Johnson Band. Thank you very much, Amanda.
You're welcome.
Walter says, hi, Seppo.
Hi, Seppo.
Aaron says, media made information marketable so it can be controlled. I miss when research was a passion like Einstein or Picasso. Picasso was a painter, but yeah, I hear you. You're thinking about Da Vinci. People would die for what they loved. I agree, Aaron, and we need to get back to that. One of the reasons I decided to come out here and talk and share the things that I know is because I'm one of those people that research and learn. I guess they call it a Renaissance man these days, but that's what I do. And there's no point in keeping all that to myself. If I know a thing, what good does it do me to keep it to myself? I'm not going to be here much longer. So I need to share it with as many people as I can. So that's one of the reasons that contributed to this podcast. I agree with you 100%. All of us need to find something we're that passionate about and move towards it. Amy says, wow, Walter. Aaron says, oh, I had a Nutter Butter, Amy. Is that what you mean? Walter says, I've been to the other side a few times. I'm still here for some reason. Maybe because you had an abundance of brain cells. Amy says, yes, Aaron, only generic ones. They're still Nutter Butters. And John says, we have Oxford University of Cambridge University. They're both gone woke. Yes, they have, unfortunately. So Oxford is in Cambridge, or it's part of Cambridge? Is that what you're saying? I was under the impression they were two separate places. It was Oxford where Nancy Pelosi was at. They have this, I don't know if it's a podcast or they just film it, but they have like open debates on the floor, and there's the old school way of doing it where you have a classroom of people sitting on pews or on benches, and then there's somebody in the middle of the floor, lecturing. And in this place, they've got the old style classrooms with the stools all around, or the benches, and then somebody down in the middle and a little hole in the floor. And they have open debates there. And Nancy Pelosi was part of one of them, and they tore her up. She was not prepared for that. You can find it online. Aaron says, those are good, Amy. And ginger snaps. Yeah, ginger snaps are good too. Amy says, Aaron, I don't make a ginger snap. Or, Aaron, don't make a ginger snap. Yep. There we are talking about that word again. You know the one I'm talking about. The one that has an R and an E, an N and an I, and two G's in the middle. You know the one I'm talking about. Ginger. Ginger, please. What it is just think, if we get on the same vibration, we can levitate and walk through walls and so on. There is some validity to that. All things are made up of vibrating strings, right? That's what makes matter. This table is mostly empty space. The parts of it that are solid are just the vibrating parts. But in between those vibrating parts are vast amounts of space in the micro. There's macro, which is everything out here, and there's micro, which is everything that's microscopic down into the quantum world, as it were. And there is some truth to that if you could change the vibrations of your body, you could walk through a wall. But here's the problem with that. If you alter the vibrations of the things that make you solid, you will turn into liquid and spill all over the floor. There'll be no coming back from that. So you can't actually do that. But yes, if you could do that, you could walk through walls because they're just vibrating things too. If you could get in between the vibrations, you could slip right through. So mathematically that's possible, but not reality. It's not possible in reality. But it is good for a thought experiment, though. Believe me, you don't want to slow the vibrations down that cause you to be a solid human being. Because if you do, you'll just fall apart. Watch Star Trek. There's an episode where a guy is removed of all of the moisture in his body, and he's just like a little pile of powder, mostly salt. That's what would happen to you if you were devoid of vibration and also devoid of liquid. You would just be a little half a pound of salt, basically. Aaron says, LOL, Amanda knows about Bernie Mac. Well, that came out of nowhere.
No, it didn't. LOL, Aaron. Yep. With some milk and cookies.
Oh, that's Bernie Mac. Gotcha. Aaron says, message retracted. Well, I can't read it if you retract it. Walter says, what it is, there is some science behind that. That's what I said. Unfortunately, you can't make it happen, though. John says, I like jammy Dodgers. I like to suck the jam out.
That sounds dirty.
I don't know what a jammy Dodger is, but I must know more.
Sounds very dirty.
I like it when she does that, too, John. Easy now.
It's getting hot in here.
Eager Jackrabbit says FDT all around the world, smiley face. Well, Eager, imagine how stupid you look, considering that Donald Trump is making end runs all over the world and is being supported by everyone all over the world. Your hatred for him has fallen flat. You are and have proven to be a moron. Congratulations.
Stage 4 TDS syndrome. There is no cure.
Amy says, what it is, you can use magnets to make things levitate. And air. And hi, Edgar, welcome, says Amy. Aaron says, I had to rewrite the autocorrect. It made it unreasonable, or unreadable. Sorry, Jake, I hear you. Happens to the best of us, man. And then there's no guarantee that I can read it even if it is readable. And Walter Davis says 600 amps, 480 volts. I woke up the other end of the shop.
Woke up at the other end of the shop.
Yeah, I bet so. 600 amps will kill you. The volts won't hurt you. I've had 1,000,000 volts run through my body before. Don't even feel it. But amps, 1 amp will light you up. 600 of them? Oh, yeah. You're in for a good time. You're lucky that it was only 480 volts. Volts are like the vehicle that amps run on. So the more volts, the more amps can go through at one time. So you could have got all 600 of those amps at one time rather than having them restrained in a stream. So you're only getting a few at a time. So thank God those 480 volts weren't 1,200 volts or something like that. Then you'd have got all 600 amps at one time, and that would suck. Aaron says, the comment I retracted said, don't make a ginger snap. You got to dip it and get it wet. Right on. 600 volts DC is a hell of a thing, too. But likewise, the volts won't hurt you. It's the amps that hurt you. But yeah, that's a hell of a thing. Amy says, smiley, smiley. And Walter says, hi, Eager. Amy says, double tap that screen, everybody, if you got a phone. Hit that like button if you got a computer. There are 20 people in chat, but only 11 likes. That math ain't mathing. What's wrong? You guys don't like me anymore? Aaron says, Walter, I know that I have to do 3-phase motors, and they put the fear in me every time. You got to be careful. Don't complete the circuit while you're in it. Walter Davis says, if your greatest love is life and the things it offers, you are truly dead. Very profound and very true. Okay, so they are two different places, Oxford and Cambridge. Gotcha. Walter says, Aaron, I worked in a factory that OSHA never visited. Eesh. Terrifying. Aaron says, Ginger, please. I'm stealing that. I got more. It's like that comedian, that guy with the glasses. And some woman said, that's the most racist thing I've ever heard. He said, really? I've got like 5 more in the barrel just waiting to come out. You ain't heard nothing yet. Aaron says, Walter, that sounds like death. It does. Amy says, where did Edgar go? He was expecting a different response? Probably. Aaron says, kinetic energy really gets me fascinated. You can do a lot with kinetic energy, and the study of it is fascinating because you can use kinetic energy to move things and to make things happen. Christine Marshall said, hi, Christine. Long time no see. How you doing? Amy says, hi.
Hi, Christine.
Christine says, dried up SpongeBob is funny. I've never seen dried up SpongeBob, but I can imagine it is funny. Walter says, hey, Christine, hope all is well. Christine says, yep, I've been working my other job also. Nice. Always good to be busy. What it is says, well, I'm willing to die for the research on being on same vibrations as a wall. If you get there, you will be. Bill Bennett says, a jamming jobber sounds X-rated. Good night, UntetheredLive fam. You guys rock. I love you all. Hope to see you tomorrow. I hope you're here too tomorrow, Bill. God bless you, sir. Thank you for being here. And I don't know what a jamming jobber is, but I must know more. Christine says, I got to get some shut-eye, but I wanted to drop in and say hi and love you all. Well, we love you too, Christine. Get you some rest, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow if you want to come by and hang out with us. Amy says, what it is, I read about frequency and vibration. It's interesting stuff. Yes, it's literally what everything is made out of. Christine says, have a good night. Good night, Christine. God bless you, sir. Amy says, night, Christine. Please press that like button. Christine says, I did when I came in. Thank you. And Bill Bennett says, an amp can kill you. Yep. I don't know if it can kill you, but it'll definitely rock your world. Amy says, what it is, something about 1.6 megahertz. Oh, there's all kinds of things involving frequency, things you can change. For example, music is tuned to A, right, which is 440 megahertz, 440 hertz, megahertz. megahertz, 440 megahertz. Anyway, 438 megahertz is what it used to be years and years and years ago. And they moved it. And there's all kinds of information out there about why they moved it. It turns out that 438 megahertz is closer to the vibration of your soul. It gets into you. It makes you feel things on a different wavelength. And so when you move it up to 440, it has a different effect on you. It affects you in a melancholy kind of way. I don't know all the science behind it. I'm trying to remember a study I read, but there's something about the megahertz of the tune A, the key A, which is what things are now all standardized to tune in. But years ago, back in the Beethoven days, it was 438. It's interesting. They call it the devil's pitch. And naturally, because God said, let there be light, he spoke the universe into existence, which is a group of vibrations, which is a chord. Music is closely tied to that. And the devil being the choir leader in heaven, music is closely tied to that. So there is a spiritual element to the vibration of music and musical notes. Look into that. It's fascinating. Aaron says, we do a JPM meter that can go on vibration and frequency. It senses the passing water and converts into digital readings. Interesting. Walter says, I thought I fell asleep after a car accident and woke up at the morgue. God has a plan. I don't know it, but I'm in it. I hear you, buddy. He does have a plan. Amy says, night, Bill. See you at Bible study. And Walter says, good night, Amy. I think Bill's going to sleep. Amy says, I'm not leaving, Walter. I was saying good night to Bill and Christine. Right on. By the way, guys, here's the Facebook page. If anybody wants to check it out, that's facebook.com/UntetheredLive chilling. It's a great place to hang out, share pictures, text, videos, and memes, and it is funny, so go check it out. Amy says, but thanks, Walter. And Walter says, okay, Amy, good night, Bill and Christine. And John says, a jammy dodger is when your chat jumps, when you're about to get important information. Hang on.
All the way at the bottom.
Jammy Dodgers and profile pic.
They're the cookies with the little jelly in the middle of them.
Oh.
On top.
Like the cookie with the little hole in it. It's got red jelly in it.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes, I've had those, and I like those. Jammy Dodgers. British people are so funny. You got a name for everything. They're potato chips.
They're cookies.
They're crisps. Walter says, that was the concert of 5G. What was? Amy says, nice nugget. They look delicious. Aaron says, I hope the National Guard, that's the Temu-Army, can help Chicago. Some of those people like how it is. I understand. Listen, according to Trump, the black ladies are coming in force, and they're all wearing red hats there in Chicago, asking him to please come help them next. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but according to Trump, that's the idea. So they're fed up with the Democrat run of that city. So I think the National Guard's probably going to go there next. I know he's deployed them to 19 other cities after they get done with D.C. So we'll see what happens. But so far, it's looking like it's working pretty good. And I hope that they can clean up Chicago. It's a pretty rough place to live. Amy says, like fruit stuffed shortbread cookies. Right on. Aaron says, jammy dodgers are kids that don't want to go to bed. Yes. Like a draft dodger, but smaller. Temu-Army, says Amy. LOL, Aaron. Aaron says, those are the mothers of dead sons. Who are? What are? Mothers of dead sons. That doesn't sound very nice. Amanda says, Amy, Penile-Spuds, dictator. That's the joke. Dictator and National Guard, Penile-Spuds, and Temu-Army. Aaron says, the black ladies. Yeah. There's a lot of black people in Chicago.
Yeah, he's saying that those are the mothers of dead sons that are doing that.
I got you. I understand. Took me a minute. Because of gang shoot. Yeah. They're fed up with it. Because that city, for the last 100 years, 150 years, however long it's been, has been run by Democrat rule. They've never had Republican rule. And they have run it into the ground. I mean, it's horrible there. I mean, you can't go outside. You might not even survive if you stay inside. There are shootings that happen and people are laying in bed asleep and get shot through the walls. It's a bad place to be. So, yeah, they're coming in force. They want Trump to come do something. And I'm glad to see that. The rest of the world needs to see that they're asking him to come in. Because they're calling him a dictator for what he's doing. And what he's doing is cleaning up the riffraff. Making it safe and pleasant in a town, which is what you want. You want to be able to walk down the street. You want to be able to, trust your neighbor and not be killed for no reason. I hope he does it. I hope it's a good thing.
Trump's had boots on the grounds in Washington for 7 days now, and there has not been one murder in them 7 days.
That's right.
As long as anybody can remember or know anything about it. It's the first time on record.
John says, no, this is a eggplant potato. Right on. Amy says,
painting her toenails.
Painting her toenails. Jeffrey Bean, welcome to the show. He says, how do you think Washington's farewell address compares to politics today? I am not familiar with Washington's farewell address. I haven't read it in a long, long, long time. And I don't remember much about it. Tell us what it says. How do you think it compares to politics to today? I personally think that our forefathers would be rolling over in their graves if they saw what this country turned into. This is not what they had in mind. That's my opinion, though. And Amy says, hi, Jeffrey, welcome. And Aaron says, trust me, I know. I lived in it. They used to run through the front door and then out the back. Yeah. I've seen things like that. And Debbie says, are Penile-Spuds salty too? A salty dictator. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Trump is salty about a bunch of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just going to rub it in.
Walter says, the mafia was broken up and street gangs filled the void cities. Used to be safe. Being evil was dangerous. Right on. Amy says, LOL, Debbie. Avarice Zero says, D.C. had the most killings per second as soon as Biden was in office. Trump ended all crime in D.C. Right on. Avarice. Nice. Welcome to the show. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie, probably. Avarice says, I would love for Trump to take over all major cities and end crime. Yeah, I think that's kind of the plan. I'm not sure he's going to go all out, but I think he's going to do it in a few locations and show the world that he can do it, and then rub it in their faces that they don't want him to do it. You see, Democrats can't help themselves. They are so deep in the rabbit hole and down that Trump derangement syndrome trap that they can't help themselves. They are actively rooting against peace and tranquility. They want all the bullshit because it's against Trump, because Trump's doing good things and they can't not be against him. So they're doing it to themselves. Amy says, hey, Jake, I'm going to pick a random obscure factoid and ask you to make a comparison on the spot. You go right ahead. Avarice says, we deserve a dictator. Yeah, personally, I think we ought to do away with politics and go back to having a king. It don't work all the time, but when you have a good king, it's awesome. But that's my opinion, and I don't run the country, so. And Walter says, hi, Zero. Amy says, hi, Avarice. Avarice says, Trump honestly should be the leader of the foreseeable future. God gave him a gift of leadership, and we need to follow. I don't disagree with that. I don't know if Trump is the guy to be the leader for the foreseeable future. I think God uses broken people to do a job, and I think he's done that job. Now, if that goes on into the future, then I'm for it. I'll support that. But if he picks somebody to take up the mantle and he walks away gracefully, I'm for that too. Patty says, I remember Cabrini Green public housing murdered children in Chicago in the 80s. Yep. Aaron says, I lived there in the 90s, Patty. It was the same. Up in the air, 1395 says, another brainwashed cultist. Really? What evidence do you have of that? Or are you just saying talking points like a good little moron? I'm not brainwashed. I think for myself. And Patty says, oh yeah. Leave it to somebody to start some shit right at the end of the show, right? Walter says, everyone watch the first few minutes of Dr. Zhivago and you will understand why the left does what it does. Oh, yeah. Aaron says, up in the air, say hello. It works better. Amy says, up in the air, welcome. Up in the air, I'm glad you have self-awareness. That's funny. Sad thing is they probably aren't even smart enough to know that you just insulted them. Amanda says, Reuters, you read it.
Go ahead. I'm still pulling something up.
Reuters spoke on 20 National Guard members from West Virginia, South Carolina, Mississippi, and Tennessee. Governors from 2 other Republican-led states, Ohio and Louisiana, have also sent National Guard at Trump's request. Rock on. Avarice says, hell, he's doing an amazing job playing 4D chess. He's already boxing them in for midterms and his third term. In his third term, I'm 2028. Right on. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that or not. I don't think he's gonna. But there are rules that he can pull out as president and make it stick if the powers that be are on board with him. If the Congress is on board with him, if the Supreme Court is on board with him, he can make himself president until he dies. There are rules out there that can make that happen. I don't think he's going to do it, though. I think he's going to tease the left about it until the very end, though, make them wonder. Fab Daddy says, Trump sent 2,000 Marines and 4 ships to Venezuela. Not the man of peace. Yet he wants the Nobel Peace Prize so much. Wrong. He's never once asked for the Nobel Peace Prize. He was denied it, even though he's the only president in U.S. history that does things like walk across the DMZ without a security guard and look Kim Jong-un right in the face on his soil. And that guy could have killed him right then and there, and he didn't.
Flies into Russian territory.
Flies into Russian territory to meet Putin, where his planes have to turn around on Russian soil because where they're at is a very small place. But he did that because he could, and flew a B-2 right over Putin's head just to show him he could get him anytime he wanted it. That's the president. And by the way, Venezuela is doing some shady shit with China, and Trump is just letting them know that they're not above board either.
Trump's just letting China or Venezuela know that he's paying attention, unlike Biden.
Right.
He knows what they're up to, and they're not going to get away with it.
Patty says, I seen it in 1992. And my son and I was able to watch Bulls and Pacers at the old stadium. Nice. Amy says, hi, Fab. And he can't have a third term. Not legally as it sits right now, but there are rules that he could put in place that would make that possible. The FDR thing.
And if he doesn't do that, he can always make Vance president, and Vance can make him his vice president.
Yeah, he could do that too.
And then there's nothing they can do. Trump's stuck there for another 8 more years.
And after he ran another 2 terms as vice president, he could be elected as the Speaker of the House. He could be in Congress the whole time. I mean, he could be in power the whole time if he wanted to. I don't think he's going to do any of that, though. Aaron says, that's so cool, Patty. And Fab Daddy says, ha, 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 ha.
And another one of the main reasons that Trump is going to Venezuela is because of all the drugs that the Venezuelans are sending into here.
Yeah, 25%, was it?
Yeah, 25 or 27% of the drugs are coming from Venezuela. From the Venezuelan president at that.
Yeah. We've been having trouble with Venezuela for a while, though, Fab Daddy. This isn't a new thing. They just didn't do anything about it before. Remember, Venezuela used to be a very rich country, very wealthy. And then they introduced socialism, and it went tits up.
And Biden was sleeping, so he wouldn't have noticed any of it anyway.
Amy says 2/3 majority. Aaron says the United Center or the one before that. I don't know what you're talking about. And Walter says, hey, Fab Daddy. Amy says, it takes 2/3 majority to change the Constitution. Right on. And Debbie says, the only way Trump can run for 3rd term is if the Constitution is changed. It has been tried at least 2 times in the past, but never got enough votes to pass. But it could happen. Right. Like I said, there are rules in place that he could make happen that would make that possible. But everybody has to be on board to make it possible. He can't do it by himself. He can't write it in as an executive order. Let's say that. Amy says, Patty, the Pacers are not a very good team. The nihilist Joker says the cartel just learned a little lesson, didn't they? Welcome, nihilist. Amy says, what debate said was what I was trying to say. What Debbie said was what I was trying to say. Right. Patty says, I went to Old Stadium, walked downstairs, but the United Center was being built. Nice. It must be a Chicago thing. Walter says Venezuela is run by a cartel. It's a failed country. We should free it. There you go. And it's a failed country because they introduced socialism. It used to be a very rich country and they had a lot of oil there. And they pissed it all away. Aaron says in the 90s, they had Reggie Miller.
Reggae.
Avarice says, as long as he holds the power in the Congress, which is why he has to make sure we gerrymander all the seats. Texas did what they should have done. Listen to Daddy. And he's going to take care of us.
That's right.
I hear you, Avarice.
That's right. That's probably what he's doing, is getting all the seats fixed, so when it comes time to run for his 3rd term, he's got the votes.
I really don't think he's going to run for a 3rd term.
I don't know.
I don't think he wants power. I think he really genuinely wants to fix America. I don't think this is about power for him. I know that what the left says, but I don't agree with them. I haven't seen any evidence that lets me think he's doing that for power. He's got power.
Right.
He can be anywhere he wants to be. He's very rich. It doesn't serve him to be president of the United States. He's actually lost money being president. I really think he genuinely wants to fix things. Whether he can or not remains to be seen. But I really think that his intentions are true.
Yeah, I do too. And I also think that he's just trying to set things up for J.D. Vance to be in the perfect position of power to be able to finish everything that Trump's trying to pull out in the MAGA train.
And that may be so. And he may have picked wisely. He spent a long time picking J.D. Vance. That was not a typical vice president pick, which is usually done pretty quickly.
J.D. Vance is getting it too, though.
But Trump went through everybody. I watched that whole thing play out. He did it like that show Survivor, where you get voted off the island or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He did it like that. He told everybody who was involved that they were going to be picked for vice president and watched them prove themselves in front of him. He did it like a show, you know. And everybody knew they were competing against each other. And one by one, he eliminated them all. And he picked J.D. Vance, who I didn't know anything about at the time. So I was dubious about his pick. But everything I see about that guy, I like him more and more every time I see him. Trump may have made a very wise choice in that guy.
What I think is funny is looking at all the Democrats that are starting to turn Republican and starting to come towards Trump now because of all the stuff that the Democrats were doing. I think that's hilarious.
If you ever want to understand what's happening right now in the world, watch a ship sink and watch what the rats that are on that ship do. That's what's happening right now. The Democrats are jumping ship because they're rats. That was the analogy.
Demon rats.
John says, I'm just walking the dog. Well, put that yo-yo down and pay attention, John. Aaron says, Chicago Stadium. Got it. Understood. Amy says, hang on, your chat jumped. Amy says, John, be careful. Yeah, yo-yos are dangerous, John.
So are ho-hos.
You might want to keep it in the park. Debbie says, Venezuela voted in socialism. They got what they voted for. Yes, they did. That whole country went tits up. They went from being very rich to not even having food on the shelves.
Yep. And
at
that's
the stores.
That's the way New York is going to be if Mom Donnie gets in there.
Yes, it will. The only thing that you need to know about the world and politics is that socialism and communism always ends in starvation and genocide. There is no other alternative. It always ends in starvation and genocide. Capitalism is not perfect, but it works, and it works beautifully. Patty says, yes, they were AI, my guys. Or they were all my guys. One or the other. Fab Daddy says, speaking of socialism, own 10% of Intel is socialism. What does that mean? How is that socialism? Owning 10% of Intel is not socialism. It's a good investment. Who owns 10% of Intel? Or do you mean intelligence? If you're talking about the company Intel, how is that socialism? Amy says, Nugget, are you actually walking a dog or playing with a yo-yo? That was my joke, Amy. You can have it, though. Aaron said, we had Michael Jackson thought, Patty. Patty. We had Michael Jackson, though. Debbie, not debate. I got it. Amy, I got you back. And Patty says, Miss Amy, we were cheerleading for the Bulls. Aaron says, yes. And Patty says, Scotty. Like from Star Trek? Fab Daddy says they still have oil, and Trump allowed Chevron in June to continue operations there. That's why Trump wants Venezuela. Trump does not want Venezuela. Silly Democrat. Trump could have Venezuela anytime he wants it. He doesn't want it. Rodman, too. Dennis Rodman. The only other American that went over and hung out with Kim Jong-un. Amy says, no male cheerleaders like in Minnesota, Patty. Question mark. Yeah, I don't think they did that back then. And if they did, there was only one of them. Fab Daddy says, why is the U.S. government owning 10% of Intel, the company? That sounds like socialism. Well, it doesn't, because that's not how socialism works. And I don't know that the U.S. government does own it. Just because you say a thing doesn't make it accurate. I've heard nothing about it. Pardon me. Owning 10% of a company is a very small amount of a company, by the way. 50% would be able to make decisions in a company. 10% doesn't. They're not even on the board at 10%. So it doesn't sound anything like socialism. I don't think you understand what socialism is. Amy says, Trump could poop out gold nuggets and the left would complain that they aren't shiny enough. I know, right? Aaron says, if he poops out gold nuggets, I'm going to steal some poop. I'm just saying. Damn right. I'll be a poop collector for sure. Patty says, I do like Dennis. Took me a while, but I watched Phil help him along, and he let Phil help him. Basketball talk. I don't know anything about it. One of the few subjects that I lack in. Amy says, if you're unhappy about the country you live in, move. It's that simple. I agree. Own the Democratic syndrome. That's all I hear, says Fab Daddy. I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody wants to own the Democrats either. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but you guys aren't worth a whole lot. Nobody's looking to own you, I promise. We're actually trying to get rid of you. Linda Davis says, dipping water lightly. And be careful, Linda. Did Linda pop in? I hadn't seen Linda today. Did I miss her? If I did, hi, Linda. Amanda says, hi, Linda, hon. I guess I did miss her. Why am I not seeing Linda? Oh, I thought that was Amy that said that. She's always saying that. Hi, Linda. That's why Amy said, be careful. I see now. Hi, Linda. I completely overlooked you. I thought I was reading what Amy said. Aaron said, Linda made bread. Debbie says, have you seen Hillbilly Elegy? And that's DJ Vance's book. And there is a movie by the same name. I have not seen it. I imagine the book is better, though. And John says, pitch black, but still listening. And Patty says, it's a great movie, is it? I'll check it out. I haven't seen it. Amy says, socialism will not work in this country. It has a population of over 330 million plus people compared to other countries' policies. But forget about the differences in population. Well, it won't work. Socialism only works in very small groups. Like if you got 12 people on an island, sure, you can share everything. The minute somebody starts owning something, though, socialism no longer works. It is against the very fabric of this country. It will not work. Debbie says the socialist government run grocery stores in Kansas City lot billions and now is closed. Lost billions and now it's closed. And the left still thinks socialism works. They do in spite of it failing everywhere it's ever been tried. There is no such thing as a successful socialist country. Averai says, I'm happy I can finally afford eggs. Man down, says 67. 43, your turn. 43, 45, 47. Whatever. Amy says, no dim syndrome here, Fab. I think both sides are corrupt, but one side is better than the other. True. Aaron says, man down, hello. Amy says, hi, man down, welcome. And Aaron says, I stand in the middle with you, Amy. Stuck here in the middle with you. Amy says, stuck in the middle with you, right? Amy says, leave and come back, John. I had to. Melody is here, says Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world, totaling approximately 304 billion barrels. This is what it's all about. Venezuela is very important to the USA. No, it's not. I'll tell you what it's all about. There's a lot of China going on in Venezuela right now. That's what it's all about. China is trying to position themselves to take over. Don't believe me? Go listen to their leader talk. That's exactly what they're trying to do. What's going on in Venezuela is about China. Write it down that I said so. Has nothing to do with oil. We got plenty of oil here too, Melody. Plenty of it. Enough that we can live for the next 1,000 years and not run out of oil, just using our own oil. Amy says, welcome back, Melody. Aaron says, Patty, watch Dennis Rodman's Half of Fame speech. It will break your heart. Hall of Fame speech, sorry. Amy says, Linda is driving and while listening. Ah, that's what those letters mean. I thought it was duck walk leggy. Aaron says, LOL, Amy. That's funny, standing in the middle while you sing. Chris says, repent. Chris, you're not John the Baptist. And I already received that message years and years and years and years and years before you were born. But welcome. Try hello. It works better in a crowd. And Debbie says, the movie is informative about J.D. Vance. It is his story. His meemaw was a tough old bird. He came a long way to end up where he is today. Right on. And Aaron says, you first, Chris. Yeah, the thing about repentance, Chris, is it's for everybody, not just me. And you saying so doesn't put you on some kind of moral high platform either. Fab Daddy says, our troops were not trained to be Trump's police force. Well, that's a good thing he's not using them for that very reason either. They are trained to kill the enemy. Stop using our soldiers like fascists. Want to be dictator? No, he is straight up acting like a dictator right now. If he's going to be accused of it repeatedly, he might as well be guilty of it, Fab Daddy. And by the way, I think you should probably look into the charter of the United States military, because that's exactly what they are trained to do. Whatever the president tells them to do. The president, as it were, has a title. And his title is Commander-in-Chief of what? The military. He is the leader of the military. They are his force. So you should probably look into that.
And above all of that, when you're 800 men short on a police force, who else is he supposed to send in?
Right. So I think you need to pull your head out of your ass there, Fab Daddy, and pay attention to the actual world you live in and not the Democrat bubble that was painted around you. The military is the president's. The buck stops with him. That's how the country works. Read the Constitution. I'm sure you've never looked at it. Amy says the National Guard, Temu-Army, is not trained like regular armed forces. Weekend warriors, bless them, but they are not the same. Correct. They are the Temu-Army. Cheaper and smaller and made in China. But they are They are call-in military people. If you need more military, call those guys. If you need somebody to stack sandbags, call those guys.
And if you really want to get mad at Fab Daddy, he's sending them to 19 other states when he's done with this one.
Right on.
So you can get mad 19 more times at least.
Maybe 20. Because if you keep running your mouth, he's going to send them to California next.
He's already sending them there. They're on the map.
Ha. I'm sure you can stand in your nice, clean, pristine, empty of crime streets and scream at the top of your lungs about how bad Trump is while you can enjoy your comfortable, clean city without threat of violence. Dingbat. Fascist. Do you know what fascist means, Fab Daddy? The word fascist comes from the Greek fasci, which means a bundle of sticks. And they use that metaphor of a bundle of sticks to denote the word strength. That's what a fascist is, stronger in numbers. And Debbie says, Fab, our troops are trained to defend us against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And since you have made yourself an enemy, imagine what that means. Duck weave left, hook, says Aaron, TWL. Duck weave left. I like it. Amy says, Chris, I have asked Jesus into my life, repented, and asked for forgiveness. John 3:16. Talk about somebody that walks into a building that has no idea what his surroundings are and then hollers some inappropriate nonsense to people that he does not know what they do. Melody says, it's all about the control of natural resources. It's not. All wars and so-called regime changes around the world are all about the control of wealth of natural resources. They're not. Regime change is about power, and it's about control of power. It has nothing to do with resources. Resources is a war like Vietnam, which was over oil, which is a different kind of war than, say, World War II, which was about something else entirely. Debbie says, I am darling-winded listfully, or drinking while listening. Aaron says, nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. Fab Daddy says, the military is ours, and he, the president, is ours. True.
But the president gets to determine where they go and what they do.
Correct. Ours in that we appointed them to handle the things that we don't want to have to handle ourselves, which means he has the authority and the power to do those things. And one of those things is operate the military at his leisure. President. The military serves at the pleasure of the president. The cabinet serves at the pleasure of the president. The Congress serves at the pleasure of the president. See how that works? The president is elected by the people, which, by the way, was a mandate, a red wave, the likes of which has never been seen before, from sea to shining sea. One of those is your state, Fab Daddy. Talk to your people, because you helped get him elected. Fab Daddy says, you are going to regret it. No, I'm not. Not in the slightest. Why do you think I'm going to regret it? Because you say so? When are you going to learn that most people's ideals are in line with what Trump is doing, which is why he's being successful at it. That it's a very small, vocal minority that don't like what he's doing, and they're all idiots with blue hair and nose rings and the like. Yes, we have an army of baristas whining about our president. Spice latte, Fab? Amy says, it's the nature of the beast, Melody. The story of human history. Get over it. It's just how it is. There's always been, as long as somebody's been drawing lines on land, as long as somebody said, hey, this is mine, somebody else said, hey, I want that. From that point forward, there have been wars and rumors of wars about the lines that we draw as people. There's always been a conqueror. There's always been the conquered. And it always will be that way. The best you can hope for is to be the one who does the conquering.
Wow.
Debbie says, Fab must have skipped the days in civics when we learned that the president is the head of the military.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he attended civics. He's from California. They probably taught him something about lesbian basket weaving or something. Melody says, I think the American judges failed to do their job and let the criminals off the hook. This is the problem America is facing. It's one of them. And those judges, Melody, are Democrat judges that were appointed and paid off by George Soros and the like. There's a large amount of money behind the DAs and the judges that let criminals off the hook for seemingly no reason. But there is a reason. It's to cause destabilize the country. Because that's how you take over countries. You see what's happening here? Your side or their side is causing destabilization in order to try and take over. Because they want to rule America, not live in it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that when all the senators don't live in the towns that they represent, there's something wrong there. And all of them, almost without exception, have a D in front of their name. Amanda?
Fascist parties whose symbol was the ancient Roman fasces, or the bundle of rods with an axe, representing strength through unity.
And what did I say?
That's exactly what Jake said. And that's all Trump has ever said. Strength through peace. Peace through strength.
Correct. Ratchet and Clank. I love that game. Hey, their name's Rivet. I'm always up to spar over bolts or to train my hammer. Ratchet and Clank. That's exactly what you do. That's a good game. I miss it. Crash Bandicoot's also fun. Amy says, welcome, Rivet. Ratchet. Rivet is what they're doing. Aaron says, I remember that game, Ratchet and Clank. It was a good game. Aaron says, Ratchet Amanda has the biggest hammer in the room. Yep, if you like hammers, get to know Amanda. She's quite good at wielding hers. Fab Daddy says, the president cannot declare war, only Congress. But I forgot civics in high school. Fab Daddy, you know what else the president can't do? Fly. When's the last time you heard him declare war? You haven't. So you're literally saying nonsense that means nothing. Fab Daddy, Trump is not declaring war. He is doing what presidents do.
He's stopping the wars. Oh, but let's not talk about that on the Democratic side, right?
Yeah. What is there, like 17 different things that he stopped already?
Yeah, he's got 8 major ones in process right now.
John says, I'm back now. Right, John. I'm trying to get to the bottom of the chat so I can go to bed. Debbie says, I didn't know, Aaron. Or I don't know, Aaron. I think Jake's hammer is probably bigger than Amanda's. I mean, it's solid. You'd have to ask her. But I think it's all right.
LOL, Debbie. That's my hammer too, though.
Yeah, she wields that one also. But I think the question was to size.
Well, I'm not kissing and telling.
Tell.
Tiny mule.
I'm hung like a mule, in case you're wondering. A tiny one, but a mule nonetheless. Melody says, Afghanistan war was all about the control of poppy fields and the production of heroin. Correct. The first year of the occupation, Americans increased the production 8,000% of heroin. Also correct. Also under Democrat president. You don't see Trump doing that, though, do you? I think you just proved your own point in reverse. Amy says, LOL. Punctuation, Aaron. Ratchet, comma, Amanda. Or otherwise it says Ratchet Amanda, which I've done. And it's fun. Fab Daddy says, ad hominem attacks, calling everyone that thinks differently from you idiots. I don't call everyone that thinks differently than me idiots. I call idiots idiots. It's a factual statement of fact, Fab Daddy. And I also use the word moron more than I do idiot and sometimes dingbat. Like I did you 5 minutes ago. Because you are, in fact, a dingbat. Not an idiot. I didn't call you an idiot. I have called you a moron, but not an idiot. Get it right, buddy. If you're going to quote me correctly. I thought you could handle the heat. I can. I don't see any heat, buddy. I'm sorry. Was this supposed to be hot? Are you making some kind of solid facts over there that I missed? I think you might think that your argument is better than it is. Amy says, welcome back, Nugget. And Aaron says, if I put the comma, I change the statement. How? It's just easier to read. RH says, yo, it's been over 2 weeks since you borrowed my blow-up sheep. Quit YouTube Live. Get your libtard act together and return him, or face hefty late fees. I will be home all day after I clock out. RH, number one, I'm not going to quit YouTube because I make enough money to survive here, unlike you. Number two, if I borrowed your blow-up sheep and haven't returned it, I promise it's because you don't want it back, because I've done nasty things. And number three, I'm not a libtard. So you're wrong all the way around. And number four, I'm not paying late fees. You want it? Come get it. When you clock out. Get your job done. Amy says, LOL, just teasing, Aaron. You called Amanda Ratchet. Fab Daddy says, Nurse Ratchet. Nice. I like Nurse Ratchet. Aaron says, Ratchet and Clank, comma, Amanda. RH says, D equals deep state. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, Amy says, I'm just having fun, Aaron. You're good. Democrats focus on that effing illegal alien. I don't think that's how Democrats work, RH. You might not understand politics. Might be a dingbat. Melody says, I thought American judges in all 50 states are elected, except the Supreme Court judges, which are appointed. They are elected, but they're elected usually from DAs and always from a pool of people that are qualified in their regions, which are paid for by outside sources. And in every case in the Democrat cities, those outside forces are nefarious, like George Soros. But you are correct. They are elected. Dakota says, hey, my friend. Heart. Hey, Dakota. Dakota says, hey, friends. Nice to see you, Dakota. Aaron says, I know. I'm teasing back. Amy says, hi, Dakota. And Amanda says, hi, Dakota.
Hi, Dakota.
And then my chat jumped.
10:47.
Dakota says, hey, Amy and Amanda. And John says, Trump wants peace. Yes, he does. Peace through strength, which means he's going to show force and then not do it. Just to let people know. Like when he flew the B-2 over Putin's head and then turned it around in Russian airspace because he's not going to do anything about it. Like having a platform that is on the word peace 2025. And then he stands a foot taller than Putin for the world to see. That's peace through strength. Notice that Putin capitulated immediately and started talks to end the Ukraine war.
And peace through strength. Less than 48 hours later, there was 700 other members of high-ranking places that were all on a jet to come see Trump at the White House to negotiate.
That's correct. They all came to him, including Putin. He didn't go to them. They came to him.
Within 48 hours of that meeting.
Because that's what peace through strength looks like. Strong. Our president is strong, and everyone knows it. Amy says, I need a breathing treatment. Be back shortly. Oh, I hate those. Fab Daddy says, he hasn't stopped Jack, the liar in chief. Fab Daddy, take your head out of your ass and look around. There have been at least 17 confrontations that he's put an end to in the last 3 weeks. Many things he's already done. The news is only talking about one of those, but they're all over the place. And also, hasn't told a lie yet. What one thing has Trump lied about? You can't name it, because he hasn't done it. And don't hand me some shit that he said he was going to do and hasn't done yet. That's not a lie. That's a work in progress. Fab Daddy's retracting messages, huh? Amy says, Chief. That's I before E, except after C. Grammar, folks. It works. Debbie says, Fab, everything will be okay. When California turns red, we will be here for you. And it will, by the way, Fab, turn red, because Gavin Newsom is letting his cracks show a little too much lately. He's done some things that the Californians are not going to get over. Debbie says, 3 thumb sizes is all I'm going to say about that. Well, Debbie, you can grab it comfortably with both hands and there'll still be some sticking out. That'll tell you what. And you won't be able to touch your fingers. Fab Daddy says, good night, 2 and 5, but you need to stop hating Dems. I don't hate Dems, Fab Daddy. Why would you think I hate Dems? I don't hate you. I've been talking to you for years. It's not my fault that you're uneducated and uncouth and incapable of seeing reality. But I don't hate you. I love you. Just because I love you does not mean I'm going to let you spew bullshit on my channel, though. I'm not going to do it. But I do love you. Melody says Bush was the one who occupied Afghanistan, and he was a Republican. Well. I don't know if you would call it that. He did run as a Republican, but he was a neocon, like his father before him. There's no difference between Bush and Obama. And Aaron says, Fab Daddy, stay. This is good. And Fab Daddy says, bye, fucktard. How about day? Meet me outside. Outside right now? Are you at my house? What's the matter? Is your feelings hurt, Fab Daddy? Amy says, orders more ID 10 than T forms. And Debbie says, Fab, we don't hate Democrats. We just call out lies. That's all. Aaron says, ooh. And Melody says, Bush and Dick Cheney, both Republicans, both neocons. I know that they ran as Republicans, but they don't stand for what most Republicans stand for. And they were not very popular presidents. Or president, vice president. Do you remember all the people making fun of him back in the day? Back when you could do that and get away with it? The reason they were making fun of him is because he was a war hawk. And what he was doing didn't make a lot of sense. Like when the towers fell and they attacked, what was his name? You know, the guy over there? Melchizedek. What's his name? Not Melchizedek. I can't even think. Nebuchadnezzar. What's the guy's name? All I can think is Osama bin Laden, but the other guy. Saddam Hussein. He attacked Saddam Hussein, which had nothing to do with what was going on. Nobody liked that. We just went along with it because we needed to do something. Nobody liked that. I remember those days. Yes, Bush was a Republican. I'm not a Republican, by the way. I'm a conservative. There's a difference. But Bush was a neocon Republican. Like, what's the guy with the mustache? Boltman? What's his name? Just got raided today. That's a neocon. I can't think of his name, but he's the white-haired guy with the mustache. And he wrote a book that violated the NDA, which is why the FBI raided his house today. Tony Boltman, is that his name?
John Bolton.
John Bolton. That's it. John Bolton. That's a neocon. That's a war hawk. Neocon Republican. Democrats have them too, like Hillary Clinton. The Clintons were neocons. Same thing. Yes, we have a two-party system, but rarely do those two parties land on the actual party that they are. Right now, Trump is a Republican, but he was a Democrat for most of his life. But he's a conservative Republican. He was a conservative Democrat. See what I'm saying? Those words don't mean a whole lot these days. But Trump wasn't involved in that sort of thing, and he's not now. Bush wanted war. He was a member of Raytheon and all that. Dick Cheney was. And they all pushed for wars and wars and wars and wars because there's a lot of money in war. Trump wants to end the wars. He does not want wars. He's the only president in modern history that didn't start a new war. Whatever that means. Debbie says, and another thing, Fab, we call out Republicans when they lie too. Yes, we do. Like John Bolton. Aaron says, I will, Fab. Would stay. I wish Fab would stay. I do too, but I think he's mad. I think he's mad because he can't win the argument and he can't get the rise out of me that he wants to, so he called me a fucktard because he's got nothing else.
He's out of pot.
Probably.
And cigarettes.
Probably. Patty says, I'm so glad we had this time together. Good night, everyone. I'm glad too, Patty. Thank you for being here.
Good night, Patty.
And Debbie says, Fab, calling anyone a fucktard is a Democrat move. Thanks for proving Jake's point. I bet you feel silly.
Nailed it.
Aaron says, Patty, thank you for being here. Hang on, my chat jumped.
10:54.
I got it. Thank you for taking. Patty, thank you for talking. Talking? Jeffrey Bean says Reagan said the same thing. As what? Context. What do you mean, Jeffrey? Said the same thing about what? Peace through strength, or there's a difference between Republicans and conservatives? And Amy says, holds up a sign that has the word Uniparty on it for Melody. I say the nay. Apparently, it's saying some things they shouldn't be saying. Don't say me. Aaron says, I keep it respectful. I say the E-nay, keep it respectful. And John says, Trump stopped the Congo war. Facts. He stopped a bunch of them in the past 3 weeks. There's quite a few things that he's put an end to. Wars that have been going on for hundreds of years, thousands of years in some cases, gone. He's brought them together to talk about negotiating, to talk about working together. He's got the UN paying in money again. He's got China minding their P's and Q's. He's got North Korea minding their P's and Q's. He's got Russia capitulating to his desires. He's turning the world back into the way it needs to be going.
Canada is also caving into him after they said they wouldn't and they were going to give him high tariffs.
Yeah.
Now the Canada got a hold of him and wants to come to the table and make negotiations.
And they've taken all their tariffs off of U.S. goods, all of them. If you'll think back a couple of weeks, and you'll note that Donald Trump said, yeah, I don't think that high tariff thing is going to work. You're going to have to drop all your tariffs and then we'll talk. Guess what they're doing? That's what peace through strength looks like. Trump is a successful president. He's probably the best one we've ever had. And that's saying a lot. I'm a big Reagan fan, even though he wasn't perfect. I think that him as a person, he was definitely the most stately president we've ever had, and funny. He always led with a joke. He was always a really good speech giver, and he made you believe in that shining city on the hill. That's what a president should be. And I think Trump is the next best thing, and I think he might be better than Reagan. I don't know. We'll have to see. And Debbie says, even Putin said he would not have invaded Ukraine if Trump had been president. Everyone knows Putin went into Ukraine because Biden was weak. Yes, and by the way, the Democrats know that too. That was the plan. If you go back to 2008, in that era, when you go back to when Obama was in office and Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State, you'll notice that back then she started poking Russia for no reason at all. Russia's over there minding their own business. They have never been our enemy. Russia has never been a problem to the U.S., ever. Ever since the Berlin Wall fell and the USSR fell and all of that ended, Russia has been no problem to us. Right? Hillary Clinton starts making fun of them and picking at them and poking them and just nagging at them. And I'm thinking, if she's not careful, she's going to start a war. Then when she started running for president, she ramped it up. And then started this Russia hoax, right? And I'm thinking the whole time, why is she picking on Russia? They've never done anything to us. Now I know why, but back then I didn't know why because I didn't know the world stage like I do now. Things are happening, things that we barely understand. All those private meetings of presidents and leaders, we don't know what they're talking about. They're talking about things that we're not privy to. And if you pay attention, you can glean some of that information. Well, one of those things is the world power structure, and Trump is at the head of it. Believe that. Right now, America is the world power, and everybody else is under that. Don't believe me? Go watch when all the world leaders get together. Who is sitting in the middle? Who is everybody looking at? Who is everybody waiting to hear talk? That would be Trump. Who does the handshaking? When Trump went to England, I bet you the King of England got the handshake from Trump, not the other way around. Right? Make no mistake about it. He is the world leader right now. Good or bad, that's the situation that we're in. I hope he does good. And by the way, if you're a Democrat, you should hope he does good. You don't want our country to fail. You want it to succeed. You should question your motives if you're rooting for it to fail because of somebody you don't like. And Melody says, the invasion and occupation of Afghanistan and Iraq were both initiated by the Republicans, all about resources, Pakistani heroin and Iraq oil. Well, that is true. All of that is true. But again, not the kind of Republicans that we have today. Aaron says, Melody, what are you talking about? She's responding to me saying that the Republicans have started no new wars. I say the nay. You were incorrect on all of your statements there. Amy says, Arrow has fun is an account created 8 hours ago. All right, Arrows has fun. You have no business here. Aaron says, yep, bot account. Amy says, bot account. I suspect all of these are bot accounts. I say the e-nay. That sounds like something a bot would have came up with. And Amy says, don't spam the chat. If you got something to say it, but don't repeat it over and over again. Aaron says, Arrow, don't spam. Melody says, I thought Bush was very popular because the American citizens voted for him twice. Most presidents get 2 terms. He served 2 terms as the president of the USA. Yeah, most presidents do, unless they're especially bad like Biden. Aaron says, I say goodbye. You say the nay, I say goodbye. Amy says, John Bolton. That's the guy I was trying to think of. Thank you. Aaron says, you don't come in here calling people a rapist. You fucking waste of breath. Amy says, Obama was elected twice. Trump was too. What's your point? Yeah, most presidents, once they're in office, if they don't just ruin everything, we'll vote for them again because it's better to do the same thing than to change up and not know what's coming next. Most presidents get 2 terms. That being said, what are you saying? Yes, we've had Republicans and Democrats for the last 50 years. Most of those wars have been going on for a very long time. Some of them were started by presidents. Yes. None of them were started by Trump. The word Republican does not mean what you think it means. By the way, this is not a Republican channel. I'm not a Republican. I'm a conservative, a right-leaning conservative, but not a Republican. I don't belong to any party. Amy says Obama was elected twice. I read that one. John says Saddam Hussein was the war on the weapons of mass destruction, but none were found. Right on. Yeah, but it had nothing to do with 9/11, which is why we initiated that battle in the first place. I think they were just using that as an excuse to get into something they wanted to get into, because Bush had talked about going to war with Iraq before. And that was his daddy's legacy. And he was in a position to make it happen, so he did. And everybody was like, what the hell? I thought they were Afghanis. Turns out they were. Of course, if you believe that sort of thing. Amy says, OMG, thanks, Aaron. And Melody says, there are warmongering neocons on both sides. Correct. You got it. Bolton, Democrat, and Lindsey Graham, Republican, both disgusting human beings. Is John Bolton a Democrat? I thought he was a Republican. And you're right. And those neocons are the ones that start the wars that you were talking about earlier. Aaron says, sorry for my words, ladies. Lord Jacob says, do you support Dr. Uman Johnson? I don't know who that is. Ladina Simmons is here. Hey, darling. Nice to see you. Just got here. I have no idea what's going on yet. Don't feel bad. We don't either. Amy says, welcome, Lord Jacob. Jacob? Is that Jacob in Yiddish? Amy says, hi, Ladina.
Hi, Ladina.
Amy says, how was your party today, Ladina? Ladina says, Amy, you feeling any better? Amy says, not really. I'm giving myself a breathing treatment. I've only smoked a few cigarettes today. Pushing fluids. I need rest. I'll be fine. Me too. Only smoked a few cigarettes today. At a time. Ladina says, it was a great day. Nice. Chili's, then cookie, cake, and ice cream at Momo's. Is today your birthday? Because that sounds birthday-like. And Debbie says, keep talking dirty, Aaron. I'm almost there. Amy says, if I'm not better, I'll go to urgent care and get antibiotics. Please do. Take care of yourself, Amy. You're pushing too hard. Aaron says, LOL, Debbie. Amy says, yummy cookie cake. Tyler, I'm not a white boy, you moron. Amy says, racism is not tolerated here. Try again in 5 minutes. Aaron says, got him. Tomish Jostrom says, good morning from Sweden. Good morning, Sweden. Nice to see you. Sorry for butchering your last name, but I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't know what that J with the dots at the top means. Aaron says, Amy, I think you should still go to urgent care to be safe. Amy says, probably. I'm sorry you feel so bad, Amy. I didn't realize you were, like, really sick. Please do take care of yourself, though. Drink lots of liquids and don't stay on one side for more than 30 minutes. Roll over. You don't want to get pneumonia. Aaron says, I'm kind of poking you to go. And Aaron says, was my grammar okay? Yeah, it was. Except for the I. You fixed it, though. Northlanderman says, is this like QAnon? No. I have a face. Aaron says, stay and see, North. And welcome. And hello. Amy says, Northland, what's QAnon? That's a conspiracy 4chan board that started up and then got wind and people started dispersing it all over the place on Reddit and places like that. And it became a big thing in the first term of Trump. And it was basically some idiot spewing conspiracy theories and claiming that things were going to happen, that some things were happening and some things were just out there. And then it became a joke against the Republicans. It was probably built by a Democrat to discredit Republicans. Basically, it's the word QAnon means nonsense. Big Duke says, I only eat corn the long way. Well, congratulations, you have a deep throat. Northlandum says, QAnon, But not everybody's heard of QAnon, Northern. Amy says, good for you, Big Duke. And Northland says, QAnon, everyone knows. Nope, everyone doesn't know. Some people live in reality and don't pay attention to the internet. Lance Y says, are you the voice actor of Mickey Mouse? No. Unfortunately, my voice don't go that high. Lance says hi. Hi, welcome to the show. Aaron says the Q word is to say this is far-right conspiracy theories. Right on. And that's basically what it was, a bunch of conspiracy theories. By the way, hit that like button and subscribe, everybody, especially if you're going to troll me. At least work for the algorithm and give me a subscription. It's free. Debbie says, Amy, I wonder if Big Duke's butthole has taste buds. Gross. Aaron says, Lance, that's a stupid question. Try again. Amy says, I used to have a Mickey Mouse watch, analog. He used to play with himself twice a day around 6:30, but only for a minute or two. Nice. If you had a Mickey Mouse watch, you should hang on to it because those jokers are valuable these days. Or they were. Disney's probably run it into the toilet so bad that it ain't worth anything anymore, but they used to be valuable. Aaron says, if the battery dies, he can have a good time. Only if it dies at 6:30. Amy says, smiley face. Aaron says, takes Amy's batteries. Melody says, QAnon was a big psyop. Many people fell for it. I agree. And Aaron says, Jake just said that, I think, basically. It was a psyop. And I really think that the Democrats started it for that very reason, to have something to use against Trump, because they didn't have anything. You must understand, and for people that hate Trump, you must get it in your head. He is the most vetted individual on planet Earth. If he had a parking ticket, they would have used it against him. Believe me, they went up his ass 12 ways from Sunday and found nothing. He was even friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and they can't find anything on that either. He is the cleanest man alive. I am guilty of more than he is. Aaron says, you said that. We got it. All right. That's the end of the chat. And that's Politi-tics for the evening. Thank you all for being here. I love each and every one of you. I've enjoyed the night immensely. I hope you have too. Debbie says, Melody, do you live in England? I think I read that you do, but I could be wrong. I can't remember. She did tell us, but I can't remember.
Yes, she's over that way around John somewhere.
All right. All right. Amanda, say good night.
Nighters, y'all. See you tomorrow night for Bible study.
At 8 p.m.
Eastern Standard Time right here on Untethered Live. Much love.
All right. Melody says QAnon were all Republican supporters for Trump. So you think. That's what the word is. But do you know that? Do you know any QAnon supporters? I don't know. If it was a psyop, you might be incorrect. And John says in Britain, if you have a Union Jack flag and the St. George flag, you're far right from Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of Britain. And no, we are just patriotic. Right on. Well, you be patriotic. I support that. Power to you, buddy. Aaron says, peace. Amy says, if you know it's a psyop, then it wasn't a psyop. You might be right there, too. She's French. Oui. Merde. See y'all for Bible study tomorrow, says Amy. And Linda says, I just got home and you're leaving. Sorry, Linda. Aaron says, John, I love bacon. I said it just for you. I love bacon too, John. Good night, all, says Linda. Good night, everybody. I love you all. Have a great night. Thanks for Politi-tics. Keep on Politi-ticking. See you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.